Hello students, so today we are going to discuss the particular topic, that is absorption and transportation of the water through the root cells or root hair cells. So when we have to cut the cross section or transverse section of particular roots, then we have to find the particular this kinds of structures, okay, and on the outer side this kinds of cells, this is known as particular epidermal root hair cells, and this one is the middle cells. This kinds of middle cells, this is known as cortex or cortical cells, and after that this kinds of layer, this is known as endodermis, and this one is the steel one also, okay, and central portion of also, and this kinds of portion, this is consist of conducting tissue like the xylem and phloem one also. So here we have to study about only absorption and transportation of water. So for the absorption purpose, the particular structure of roots that can be involved in this process, this kinds of elevated or extended structures from the epidermal root cells, and this kinds of cells, this is known as root hair cells, okay, and this kinds of root hair cells, this is consist of unicellular structures, okay, and this kinds of root hair cells having the elongated structures, this kinds of structures, and this elongated structures, this is consist of cellular structures, and inside this one, that is having the certain hollow structures, okay, and this is also having the cytoplasmic content also. So around this kinds of root hair cells, the particular kinds of water that can be accumulated, and this water will be present as a hypotonic condition, okay, and all of you know that what is about hypotonic means the water concentration will be maximum around this one, okay. So the water can move from outside direction to the inside direction in case of particular root hair cells, okay, and after the movement of particular water molecule in case of this root hair cells, that is mainly based on the particular concentration gradient of the particular water molecule in respect to the outer sided and inner sided of the particular cells one also, okay, and this is the process of absorption of water through the particular root hair cells. And after the absorption of water, the next process will be particular transportation of water, okay. First of all, this can absorb the water through the root hair cells, and after the absorption of water, this water can be transport across the particular kinds of cells, and here the transportation occurs in two pathways, okay, and first pathway this one, and second pathway will be this one, okay, and this separate pathway, that is considered as a apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway, okay, and what is about apoplastic and symplastic pathway, we have to discuss detail today, okay. So first of all, we have to discuss about apoplastic pathway. So in case of apoplastic pathway, the absorbed particular water molecules that has to be transport or moved through the particular intercellular space created by the cortical cells, okay. This one is the intercellular space, this one is the intercellular space, this one is the intercellular space. So movement of water or transportation of waters occurs through this pathway in the particular kinds of space created by the cortical cells, and this kinds of space, this is known as particular intercellular space. So by the particular apoplastic pathway, the water molecules moves through the particular intercellular space created by the particular cortical cells, and in case of second pathway, that is known as particularly symplastic pathway, and during the symplastic pathway, the particular kinds of water molecules can be enters in this cells, and after this can transport to this cells and this cells and further way, okay. So the transportation of water molecules through the symplastic pathway occurs through the cytoplasm to cytoplasm of the one cell to the next cell, means according to the symplastic pathway, the water molecules moves through only cytoplasmic streaming, okay, means the water molecules enters inside the cytoplasm of the first cell, then it will be transported to the cytoplasm of the next cell and further way, okay. This is not transported via the particular intercellular space, means the cell to cell transportation of water is occurs through this kinds of pathway, this is known as particular symplastic pathway, okay. So the absorption that can be occurs by means of particular kinds of process, that is osmosis also, maybe diffusion also, active transport also, and passive transports also. These are the different kinds of mode of absorption of water through the root hair cells, but the transportation of water through the root cells mainly, that can be occurs through the particularly two pathways. First one is the apoplastic pathway, in which the particular kinds of water can be transported across the particular intercellular space created by the cortical cells. And in case of second pathway, that is symplastic pathway, during this pathway the water molecules that can be moved from one cell to another cells by its cytoplasmic streaming. And after both pathways, the water molecules can be entered inside the particular central portion. This is known as stele, and inside the stele the particular kinds of water conducting tissue like xylem and food conducting tissue like a phloem will be present, and this kinds of water that can be transported towards the upward direction by the particular water conducting tissue, that is the xylem. Okay, so this is the complete pathway for the absorption and transportation of the water through the root hair cells and the particular kinds of cells in the roots. Okay, so listen, this kinds of process can be categorized into two forms. First one is the absorption of water, and absorption of water can be mediated by the diffusion, osmosis, active transports and passive transport. These are the different kinds of mode of absorption through the root hair cells. And transfer and transportation of water can be mediated by the two pathways, apoplastic pathways and symplastic pathways. And in case of apoplastic pathway, what will occur? The movement of water through the intercellular space between the cortical cells. Okay, this is only transported through the space or intercellular space created by the cortical cells only. And this is the symplastic pathway or symplastic movement. In case of this one, water molecules moves through the cytoplasmic streaming, or this can be moved through the one cell to the another cells, that does not move through the intercellular space by this pathway. So this kinds of cytoplasmic streaming mainly mediated by the pore mainly present in case of particular cells. That kinds of pore, this is known as plasmodesmatal connections. Okay, so in case of symplastic movement, the water molecules moves from the one cytoplasmic one kinds of plasmodesmatal connection to another kinds of plasmodesmatal connections. So this is whole about the absorption and transportation of the water through the root hair cells or root cells. Completely we have discussed here. So thank you.